Hi everyone, it's me, Arielle, and it's Wednesday Warriors, and this week we're going to be talking about metaphors. And what I mean by a metaphor is basically a visual representation of an eating disorder, specifically of my eating disorder. When I talk about my eating disorder, I'm talking about a history. I'm talking about my past. I'm talking about something that's done for me. I'm a writer, so I really like to use metaphors, and there was a time several years ago I came up with a great metaphor for my eating disorder, and that metaphor involved something I called the rope. You may have read the rope on my blog. I talk about climbing a rope, and I really like that metaphor for other people too, because I think it brings a lot of hope to the recovery process. And I'm going to read you the rope, even though I'm sure I've shared it many times in the past. This week's video is more of a narrative, more of an abstract visualization sharing of an eating disorder and sort of taking it in a positive direction. There's a rope attached to you. It's tied around your waist. The rope hanging from you is long, very long, and way at the other end of it is hope, recovery, health, and happiness. These four things are melded together to form new life. So you're at one end of the rope, and new life is at the other. But it's up really high, and you're down really low. How are you going to get to it? Well, the first thing to remember is that if you begin to climb up to reach new life, and you let go, or you slip, or even if you fall all the way, you're not going anywhere, because you're still attached to that rope. It's tied around your waist. You're okay. Sure, it'll be tiring to begin your ascent again, but new life is a great goal. You want to reach it. Sure, you might slip down the rope again when the going gets hard, but new life is a great goal. You want to reach it, so you'll keep going. Use your strength. Use your desire. Keep looking up at new life and know, really know, that you will get there. Believe. And remember, you are attached, tied to it. You won't fall away from it completely as long as you want to get there. The only way you'll plummet way down, far away from new life, is if you take your own two hands and untie the rope from your waist. But you don't want to do that, do you? So don't untie it. But you can let go. You can slip. You can fall. Give yourself room to fall, room to slip, room to climb, time to climb, and you'll get there. You'll reach it, eventually. It won't be easy. It's an uphill battle. It's sometimes a struggle, but it's also a triumph. Think of this as you climb. Remember this analogy and feel secure. And one more thing. At the top, where hope, recovery, health, and happiness are melded into new life, there will be a lot of people cheering for you. I'm one of them. I've used this analogy of mine countless times because I think it really accurately describes the struggle that recovery can be. But it also reminds you that unless you really take it upon yourself to fail, you can't actually fail recovery. And you will reach new life one day. You just have to be patient with yourself and patient with the process and understand that it's like climbing a long, long rope. That's really hard. I don't know if anyone has ever tried to climb a rope all the way to the top, but it's not easy, and the rope of recovery is a really, really long one. I also talked maybe in 2007 or 2008 about another shorter analogy about an eating disorder being a deep dark hole, and it went something like this. There once was a girl who was in a deep dark hole, and no one could throw her a ladder or a rope because she was too weak to climb. And no one could give her their hand because they weren't strong enough and because she really wasn't ready to get out. But others threw their good thoughts down to her. They threw her their love and their hopes for her future. They threw her their worry and their concern. They threw her food. These things made her stronger, but still she was alone in that hole with no way out. She cried in that hole, and she starved in that hole. She slept in that hole. She lived in that hole. She was a miserable wreck for a long, long time. So finally, desperate to live in the light instead of the dark, finally ready to live above and outside that deep hole, finally able to see what she could do, she used her tools, the only ones she always had and always has: her mind, her emotions, and her own two hands. And with her heart, she wanted out. And with her determination, she made a plan. And with her anger, she beat at the walls of the hole to make grooves and shelves and footholds. And with her strength, she climbed up, up, up. It was always up to her. Even with the help of others, she still needed to use her tools to get out of that hole. She needed not one or a few of her tools, but all of them. She needed her desperation, her readiness, her realization, her determination, her anger, and her strength. After all, the hole was very deep. It took several tries to actually get out without falling back in. But get out she did, and now she spends her life living in the light and making sure she never falls back in that hole. If you want to make it personal, you can say that that girl was me, and that's who I used to be, and that's an analogy for what I had to go through and what I experienced and what I had to take upon myself in order to get to the point where I am now. So I hope you'll think of these two analogies, the rope and the hole, when you are feeling really hopeless and you're feeling very alone and you think that there is no way out, or you can hardly see that light at the end of the tunnel. Just remember that that light is there, and if you just keep climbing, you're going to get out. Whether you want to imagine the miles-long rope of recovery, or you want to imagine the hole that you have to use your tools to dig yourself out of, it's all the same. I think more of an eating disorder as the hole, and you have to climb out of that hole in order to essentially start recovery, and no one else can do that for you except you. And I think of the rope more of the recovery journey. The rope isn't an analogy for the eating disorder. The rope is an analogy for recovery. And I don't want to just give you analogies for eating disorders, because obviously if you're watching these videos, the hope is that you are thinking about recovery or ready for recovery or in recovery, whether you're at the beginning of recovery, in the middle of recovery, at the end of recovery, or you are recovered and you just like watching videos to keep you in line. Even if you're not someone who has an eating disorder, I can't tell you how many messages from people I get who don't have an eating disorder, and they watch my videos and they thank me because they think that they're applicable to either recovery from a drug addiction or recovery from alcohol, or a life with chronic pain, or a life with some other chronic illness, or just life in general. Everyone has problems. No one's life is perfect, and I think it's great to be able to apply little analogies like this to life, whether it's life with an eating disorder or just life. If anyone is interested in the written versions of the rope or the hole, I will post the links to those. They're way back in the archives on my blog from a few years ago, and if you want to print them and put them, I've heard of people putting them, in a book or in a journal or in a positive affirmations binder or something like that, then by all means feel free. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you next time.